3, 2, 1, 8.
On KBLA, James Farr's on the mic, lifting up the people, keeping hope in sight. With Altadena spirit, he fights the good fight, speaking truth to power, shining the light. Flames try to break us, but we're standing tall. Lost our homes, but we ain't lost at all. Through the smoke and the ashes, we see the sun. Altadena's fight has just begun.
Just begun, begun.
We'll rise again, we'll build it strong. Through the struggle, yes, we belong. Hand in hand, through dust and pain, Altadena's heart remains.
Live from Lamar Park, KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to The Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I'm your host, James Farr. This is the show of record, and we are chronicling for the nation the deadly and devastating January Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. I am so appreciative that you have allowed me to share this space with you this weekend. You may be in the kitchen, getting some coffee and breakfast. Some of y'all out in the yard. It's summer, it's hot, a little cool right now. You may even be out in the garage tinkering around out there, and I just so appreciate that you have allowed me to share this space with you. Before I tell you about today's program, I want to invite you to follow us at KBLA 1580 across all your social media platforms, and you can also follow me at James Farr Live. I'm over there, mostly over on Instagram and sometimes on Twitter. And if you've missed any of our previous episodes, I invite you to check out our podcast version of this program wherever you get your major podcast platforms. Coming up today, he's the president of the Pasadena NAACP chapter. His leadership has been forged, and when I say that, I mean forged literally, by this Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. He's been on the ground since day zero. One of my go-to people, Brandon Lamar, is joining us, and he's going to connect us with what's happening right in the community. And I want to talk to Brandon about kind of what I talked about last week. Was it charity or surrogacy? And I'm talking about the political gambit that Tiffany Haddish and gubernatorial candidate Stephen Klubeck pulled last week at a grocery store in Altadena. Earlier this week, I had the privilege of moderating a town hall. We talked about soil testing and contamination and remediation. And that event was hosted by LA Fire Justice, and joining me on that panel, along with some distinguished scholars, professor from USC, professor from UCLA. We even had an remediation professional and subject expert, a whole panel of subject experts, but also joining me on the panel,
I am here to support you and make you get the justice that you need. How are we going to handle this? And that you know what pollutants are or are not on your property, what you're building your home on, and what you can be exposed to. So I mean it when I say this. You're my heroes. You've been through enough. And it is my privilege to be able to be here and with LA Fire Justice and stand in support of you and help you in any way that I can to get through the situation you've been in. So I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're my heroes, and thank you for being here and standing up and fighting. That's what it takes.
That's the voice of Aaron Brockovich. Aaron and I had the pleasure of facilitating this town hall meeting just this past Thursday, and a few takeaways as we continue to give you some updates and some information. The contamination and the look at remediating. Two things that I took away from it. If folks have asked, can they eat the fruit, the vegetation in their yard, specifically the citrus trees? And it's a much more complex and layered answer, and there's not an absolute to it. So one of the things that was a takeaway, if you don't have to eat this year's yield or crop, don't eat it, right? If you must, perhaps you should wash it. I just say don't do it, right? Like hearing what I'm hearing about some of those toxins that are in the soil and the contamination is probably not a good idea to do it. And the other takeaway is just the lead, the arsenic. I mean, when you think about the housing stock in the community, my house is 101 years old, and God knows what is in the attic and up under the many, many years of coats of paint and treated wood, and that's just what everybody is dealing with. So, they're advising everyone to get their soil tested. That call to action on this past Thursday night at that town hall was don't guess, test. It's the only way you're going to know what is underneath the soil that's that your property is on. When we come forward, I want to have this conversation with Brandon Lamar, president of the Pasadena NAACP branch, and we're going to get into it. We're going to get after it. I want to catch up with him with some updates, find out what does he think. Brandon said that good intentions sometimes can lead to chaos. Stay with us only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
Good intentions without proper planning leads to chaos. I got a lot of calls about what took place this weekend at the grocery store with celebrities, and I think their intentions were good, no doubt about it. Coming in to help our community in the time of need, feeding communities. But the thing about it is that this was for impacted families. The first sad thing about it is that we know everybody in line was not impacted by the fire. But the second thing is, this is what we've been saying from the beginning of how organizations and individuals with good hearts and well intentions comes into communities that have gone through devastation without proper planning, without connecting to people on the ground or organizations on the ground who have created systems in place to know who these impacted families are, who have been doing this since the beginning. And so we got to do better to make sure that our community, who we're actually trying to serve, who's also in need right now, are getting the service that they not only need, but that they promise. So as this goes out, y'all, for all of you who have well intentions, all of you who still want to help and be a part, all of the organizations that still want to help, make sure that you connect to organizations on the ground that have been doing the work, that has systems in place to lower the chaos. God bless.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
On January 7th, 2025, the Eaton Canyon fire scorched Altadena, torching everything in its path. Homes, wealth, and legacy burned in one night. But will Altadena rise from the ashes? I'm James Farr. On the Conversation Live Altadena Rising, we're chronicling the recovery, the resilience, and justice for the nation. This is the show of record, unapologetically progressive. We're not blacking down. So join me, James Farr, on the Conversation Live Altadena Rising every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific with the rebroadcast on Sunday at noon.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
You know what? Yo, peep this. Lottie-dottie. We like to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody. We're just some men that's on the mic. And when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic right for all of y'all. Keeping y'all in health. Just to see you smile and enjoy yourself. Cause it's cool when you cause a cozy condition and that we create. Cause that's our mission. So
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I'm your host, James Farr. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Welcome forward. Joined now by Brandon Lamar, as I said. Brandon is the president of the Pasadena NAACP branch, and he's been on that ground since day zero. That was his voice you heard before we came forward, and Brandon talked about good intentions leading to chaos. So here, let me set this up, before I welcome Brandon. First of all, Brandon, how you doing, brother? Let me welcome you in first. Welcome to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. Now, this is Brandon's first time on this show. Brandon has been on air with me on other shows and other places, but I really wanted to wait really till around now just to see where things are, because he has been, as I have repeatedly said, been active since day zero, he and others, but specifically day zero, he's been active. So I knew he would have a good pulse, a good understanding, best practices, lessons learned, what works, what doesn't work. So that's why I wanted to give it some time, and he's been extremely busy. But Brandon was referring to the grocery store giveaway that was announced on the 7th of August by Tiffany Haddish and gubernatorial candidate Stephen Klubeck, with a 24-hour notice inviting the community to come out, line up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 4 o'clock, and they would be handing out or paying for folks' groceries. I think it was something that was very well intended. I opined on it last week. I'm not going to get back into it. I am going to re-raise that question to Brandon. Was it charity or surrogacy, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I look at it, and like I said in the video, I think it was well-intentioned. I think the intentions are well, but we've seen this over and over again since the first day that we started the distribution drive, since the fire, right? And we have done it with 500 people coming through our line, 1,000 people coming through our line, and all the other types of events. We gave out computers and all this other kind of stuff. And learning by trial and error, we saw that there had to be a better system, because we also had our seniors complaining. We had people affected by the fires complaining that there were people in line that were not affected by the fire that did not come from our community.
Well, hold on. We don't know that for sure, right? And this is why I'm going to say we don't know that for sure. The reason you don't know that, nobody really knows that, is because no one tried to find out who was in line, other than we just kind of know, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm not talking about the grocery store event. I'm talking about the previous events that we've done that led to the grocery store event. And so, and people was rightfully telling us at our events that, you know, we came from San Diego or we came from LA or we came from Long Beach or whatever the case may be, right? Mm-hmm. And so we know it. So what started to happen is we started to create a list, just like so many other groups, of a vetted list of Altadena residents, Pasadena residents who were literally affected by the fire, right, so that we can better serve our community. And we know that the goods that we received are for these people intentionally. I don't want to pile on them. I've said what I've said. You said what you said. And I really want to move us forward so that we can continue to do this work to help the community. But, you know, I just want to clear the air on that. Are you hating on her and him? Never.
Okay.
I mean, I said it in my video. I think it was good intentions. You know, it's not hating. Now, I would say I'm not hating on her at all. There's not hate on him either, but there is an underlying reason why he came to Altadena, which I believe, and that underlying reason is Altadena is 80% voter turnout rate.
Watch out.
And so that has nothing to do with Tiffany. No. I think her intentions were well.
Absolutely.
I think what she did was good. I think there's a better way, but I think what her intentions were pure and good.
And we're going to talk about some of those better ways because you've learned them, you know, and I think the point we're making to the community, folks, again, neither Brandon or I are gatekeeping. You're not gatekeeping, are you?
No, our community need all of us.
Do everybody have to come through you as an individual?
Not one person does.
All right. So everybody is welcome to support the community. But I think what Brandon and I are both saying about this to our dear sister, when community members, be it fire survivors or those who are experiencing shortages, like when they are cast as extras in a campaign video and don't even know it, just do it a little bit differently. And I'll leave it there. So, Brandon, what have you learned since then in terms of, because, you know, that's the issue of decency. Like, why have elders stand outside? Like, is there a different way and better way to get resources to people who need them?
Yeah, and so we've learned it. And so what we do is we still do the Dena Relief Drive every Saturday at Pasadena Church. Shout out to Pastor Manny, who is literally keeping that going and alive, where cars can literally come through. They don't ask you any questions about your residency or anything. Anybody in the community can come to Pasadena Church and get what they need. Flip side of it is what we've started is on Mondays and Tuesdays, we only take in 50 families, and they have to pre-register and they have to schedule a time to come in. And these are families that we've already vetted, that we've already cleared. And the way that the reason why we're doing that is because our senior populations are literally sitting outside in the heat, getting ready to pass out. You got families with children running around, don't know what the heck they're going to do with their children. And we wanted to find a better way on making sure that families get what they need, but also while they keep their dignity, right? And I think sometimes as we are providers sharing what we have with the community, giving out to our community, we forget that people still have dignity, right? Altadena was not a poor community. No. Altadena was a middle-class community. Specific, my community was a middle-class black community that worked very hard. And so we must make sure that people continue to keep their dignity while also getting these things that is intended for them.
Better systems, organized. Last thing on that, bro, we moving straight past that. But again, inside of all of that, you know, that admonishment, I said it last week, I'm going to keep saying it because those type of tropes, right, those type of, I guess, jokes is what it, you know, it's S and giggles, right? I guess that's what it was for. But to say on air, to allow Mr. Klubeck, and I have struggled with the Mr. part of it, right? To come into the community and say on a live stream, you know, telling people they don't need to steal, and you know, it was like, damn, that's what you think of this community right here. But moving on, Brandon, how are people doing? I know people are experiencing mortgage foreclosures. Tell me what's happening with community members and fire survivors in that space.
Yeah, so we're hearing a lot about the mortgage foreclosures. Our Governor Newsom had created a forbearance for 3 months at the beginning of the fire. But what we're also starting to see is that mortgage companies some mortgage companies, let me say it like that, are looking for full payments and not like partial payments or monthly payments, or even pushing that forbearance to the end of their loan. So they're literally requiring families to pay up front while also continue to pay their mortgage, while also families are paying rent, right? And so there is a few families that have went into foreclosure or pre-foreclosure because of that. And then we're seeing that families are not receiving, and these are families with insurance that they paid into, right? They're not receiving insurance money. We're seeing families that have received some insurance money, but it's their rental costs. It's for rentals, but now that was only up to 6 months or 8 months. Now we're coming to the end of that cost. So now families are literally coming out of their pocket for mortgage and for rent, right? We're also seeing that there's still hundreds of people still living in hotels and Airbnbs, right? They literally are trying to figure out their lives. Some people, because they outside of Pasadena, they have to move from hotel to hotel every 27 days.
29 days,
right?
yeah.
And so, it's an issue that we have within our community. And, we ain't never been through nothing like this as long as I live, and I've been here 33 years. Now, prior to that, I can't talk to that. But we ain't been through nothing like this. But our community is really suffering, and we're actually starting to see the real needs of our community. Back in January, February, March, we were just focused on the emergency part of it, right? Letting the community be able to breathe after that disaster.
Right.
But now that we've all taken a breath, we're really starting to see what the real issues are within our community, especially when it comes to rebuilding.
Speaking of rebuilding, I had Joel Bryant on the show last week. He's also been on in part of our town halls here at KBLA Talk 1580. And Joel, black developer, black builder, local guy, has been there before January 7th, doing the work. Didn't parachute in on January 9th like we saw a crush of builders and, contractors and stuff. But I only know of one black family rebuilding at this point, and there have been like 140 something permits that have been issued by the county at this point. Are you hearing about people rebuilding, or what's in the way of them rebuilding?
So the latest numbers that we have is that about 1,307 applications have been submitted. 138 have been issued. But for me, there's only 4 African-American families that I know of that have been approved to rebuild, and they're actually starting the rebuild process. The thing with this is that this is going to take time, but also this is systemic stuff that we've seen that is really taking it a long time for families to get approved for permits, right? Whether it be deed issues, whether it be the transfer in deeds, whether it be how they pass it on to the next family member, whether the family member that name is on it, they're no longer living. And so these are generational things that we just were not prepared for, right? It's also having a conversation with the LA County Assessor's Office to say, now that we've seen Altadena go through this, how are we educating our communities to make sure that they're prepared, not just when a disaster hit, but before that disaster's hit, right?
I mean, it was you that said at our town hall, disasters don't discriminate, but recovery
does.
So let me ask you this. Are we now in a space of recovery and rebuilding, or is relief what's really leading the need of the people?
I think it's perspective, but I also think it depends on the family. There are some people, there are 138 people that are in the rebuild phase, but the rest of everybody is still in relief.
When we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation with my guest, Brandon Lamar, who is the president of the Pasadena NAACP before he corrects me, Pasadena branch. And Brandon has been on the ground since day 0, and I'm talking all the way back to January 7th. And he was one of the first people that I organized and reached out to, because if I knew anyone that was going to show up for a community, it was going to be this brother. But when we come forward, I want to ask Brandon, where the dough at? Where the money at? Who got the bread, right? Stay with us. News is up next, only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. Find a righteous rage, and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Try Jesus, don't try me, 'cause I throw hands. Try Jesus, please don't try me, because I'm fine. Oh, you said, turn the other cheek. Oh, but this one part of the Bible that just don't sit right with me. So try Jesus, please don't try me, 'cause I find I have no problem laying these hands.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to The Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I'm your host, James Farr. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Brandon Lamar is in studio with me this morning, president of the Pasadena NAACP branch. And Brandon, as I've said time and time, I keep saying it again, not for clout or super acknowledgement or anything, but it's just the truth. Brandon's been on the ground since day zero. And, Brandon is also a young adult pastor at Victory Bible Church, and where Pastor Jonathan DeCure is the senior executive, senior pastor, right? So both brother pastors, y'all gonna have to forgive me on that digression with and when I say I'm not advocating violence, that's not what I mean. When I say, I throw hands, my hands write the words that, formulate the things that come out of my mouth, right? That's what I mean. And then those hands also may mean I just may pray for you and kind of lay hands on you and touch you. So I digress. Pray for me on that one, Brandon.
Well, I'm just a young adult pastor, and so my hands still work too. There's a little bit of extra grace that I have as well. So I'll put myself in the same boat you in, brother.
Yo, man, won't they say it? Anyway, Brandon.
Amen.
Where the money at, Brandon? I mean, because I have to call it back. We looking at the dough, we looking at the cheese, right? I mean, maybe some people could have made a grilled cheese with $150, right? But folks need hammers, nails, drywall, architectural plans, right? Landscaping plans. I mean, there's a permit for every part of the building process, but estimated $100 million, $200 million. Some have said even more, like $1 billion has been raised. Where the bread at?
Honestly, I also
looked around like it was in here. It ain't in here.
I had to gather. I also believe that close to $1 billion have been raised. I really believe that. The issue that we are seeing is the funneling of the money. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, most philanthropy groups who get the money, who millionaires and billionaires trust to put out money, most of them, they don't give direct money to families because it's just a long and drawn out overhaul for that group, right? So they just stay away from it. What they do is they tap into local organizations that are on the ground, some of them on the ground. Other ones are spread out. But how it is happening is that they give organizations anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. And those organizations have to split that money with who they servicing in that community. And so for us, for an example, if we receive $100,000, we split that $100,000 with 100 people, and so everybody get $1,000 so we can spread it.
Right.
That's literally what's been happening in our community. Organizations are getting money, but organizations are also helping community members, those organizations who are boots on the ground.
Right.
Now, my question is, why haven't
the majority of these funds been given out. Right. There's still a lot of funds that have not been given out. There's still a lot of organizations who receive money that's outside of our community, right, that we ain't seen those funds for.
So let me jump in there on that. So here's something people need to understand. We won't fully know.
You will not know.
Well, there's some things and a lot of things we will know, right? And I'm going to tell people it's next year when the IRS 990 forms come out, right? It's at that time if the receiving organization claims all of the money, in which the larger nonprofits are very likely to do, right? And they also are very likely to report who they gave money to, right? And as you were alluding to, in many of these cases, a lot of these organizations were not and are not in disaster relief or recovery programming prior to the fire, and they're learning how to do some aspects of it after the fire.
I mean, the truth of the matter is no organization is really fire recovery locally grassroots until a disaster happens. Look at every single disaster, right? You have literally organizations who really focus on what they focus on, whether it be youth, housing, whatever, homelessness, and then they get into disaster recovery and efforts and things like that because their community needs them. And so if you look at the grassroots works, no really organization does fire recovery until a disaster happens. But the real thing is, I think that more organizations, and I always shout out these two groups because I think that they did it the right way. Bay Good Foundation, which is Beyonce's foundation, they actually took time to get to know who the community organizations is, and then they had those community organizations to refer families to them so that they can get direct funds to those families. And that was anywhere between $10,000 to $25,000 per family. And then California Black Freedom Fund. I always shout out Mark Philpart because I believe that him coming from the Bay Area, he did an amazing job when it was just him. Getting into our community, getting to know organizations that was boots on the ground. So I think those people were the blueprints of how to make sure funds get directly to families.
Well, you know, Fox News reported that the Pasadena branch received a lot of money or something, and you're saying that most organizations are $50,000 to $100,000. First of all, is that true?
So, from Fox News is very interesting. The fact of the matter is, Pasadena NAACP did not receive fire aid funds at all. The Fox News reporting was saying, why would they send NAACP those funds? Because NAACP is not a fire relief organization. Once again, 99.9% of groups are not fire relief funded. So we saw that at the end of the day. Fox News, and I'm trying to be careful with what I say, Fox News don't have black folk interests at the center of their heart at the end of the way.
You can say that quiet part out loud. You can say it very unapologetically over here on KBLA Talk 15.
They're pointing fingers. And also, you know, even from our branch has been getting threats. Our branch members and executive boards have been getting calls. We don't even know how people got their personal numbers. But it ain't nobody from our community. These are people from outside of our community that are speculating. But if you come on the ground, you will know exactly who's doing the work.
Southern California Edison announced a few weeks ago that they are having a settlement fund where they're looking to offer fire survivors some compensation. I'm trying to pick my words right. I mean, I've advised people measure twice, cut once. What are you seeing? Are people interested in that?
Yeah, so I think it's very important for Southern California Edison to listen directly to what the families needs and listen to what the community is saying. I think it's not for you to create a system without community brains and voices within that system, right? And so what I'm telling people is that before you make any move, you have to consult with a lawyer or consult with somebody who knows, that is a trusted voice, who knows what this system is going to look like, because what we don't want families to do is take pennies on the dollars when they're actually supposed to get way more than what they're being offering. Especially, I think this is going to be for the most vulnerable, and that's what I don't like within our community.
Yeah, it's Edison got to step up, right? It's and that, I think that stepping up, as you are talking about, Brandon Lamar, president of the Pasadena branch of the NAACP, is they need to step up and get this smoke.
Yeah,
they really do.
They do. I think they need to. They need to be the major ones to step up. But let it be said here first, I also think that the gas company need to step up, and I also think those 3 privately owned water companies in Altadena need to step up too, because at the end of the day, you can't have a disaster and not be able to fight back from the disaster when water is not even in the tanks for the fire department to even put out the fire in the first place.
That's Brandon Lamar, y'all.
I said it.
He said it. That's Brandon Lamar. He's president of the NAACP branch, and I think Brandon got a whole list of things that need to be done. So he's somebody that you definitely want to check into. How can people? Can you stick around because you have an update? You're doing something next week. Can you stay with us a little bit longer? Okay. So check this out, folks. When we come forward, we're going to get into our updates, right? And Brandon's going to continue on with us only on KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
In a tenement yard, no. Rude boy no live in a tenement yard. Too much watch it, too much so. Them chatty.
All this pretty Sean Carter shit, nigga, ho. Sean was on that gospel shit. I was on the total opposite. Stuff $1 million in a sock drawer. That's a raw chest in case you need your chest.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard. Not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing, and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there's nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising. I'm your host, James Farr, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. It happens once or twice, and sometimes 3 times or 4 times. That little hot mic, I said what I said, and I know what I said, but that's what I said. So, maybe folks do want to go on that Carnival cruise, and no, I ain't playing boots on the ground until Carnival lifts that ban. Talking with Brandon Lamar, president of Pasadena NAACP branch, and we got some updates. Our updates, the most comprehensive place on social to get updates is at Altadena Rising on Instagram. That is the most thoroughly vetted and community-centered collection of everything, not siloed, but everything. You want to make sure that you go over there, make sure you like that page, follow that page if you're not following. And then Brandon has a president's table, an education event. Tell me about that, Brandon. When is it and what's happening?
Yeah, so I'm starting a new series as president of the Pasadena NAACP called the President's Table, and it's really for us to have real conversations about real people and our real life issues, and also seeing how we can create real solutions behind that. And so the first one is the talk on education and how our federal government can play a part or is playing a part in the pushback of education in our communities. And so we're going to be having some of our local school board members and also some of our trustee board members from Pasadena City College in that conversation next Wednesday, August 20th, at Harambe. And so if you are available, come out, hear what they're saying, hear the solutions that we have to come up with as a community to make sure that our community is still being educated the right way.
How can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me very directly on Instagram. It is BD Lamar, Lamar, or they can go to projectpassioninc.com. Projectpassioninc.com is where all the information about fire relief that we're doing is really centered around our community.
Absolutely. And then also I want to let you know that we're talking about spaces for people. There's a TEDx Altadena event that's happening. You can Google that and find that information. The deadline to submit, if you would like to present, is on September the 10th. The event is actually on October the 26th. Really interested in that event and people being able to hold space. But when we come forward, first of all, Brandon, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you. When we come forward, I got a Saturday slap that I just am going to have to plead the blood of Jesus. Only on KBLA Talk 1580, we got your black.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
And welcome forward. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising, and I'm your host, James Farr. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. I appreciate Brandon Lamar checking in with us and giving us that good update of what's happening in the community. It's that time where I play that Saturday slap, that song that has that message in the music, and I'm slipping into hope, right? And I'm a recovering hope addict. I am leaning into faith as as I work on me not throwing hands in a destructive way. I am not divisive. I am very much on purpose. I know for the community in Altadena who are looking for that relief, who are aspiring to rise and are not quite clear and unsure of how many more mornings before joy shows up.
Got joy in my soul. God is in control. I got Satan on my trail, but I'm singing all is well. He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back, 'cause this means war. This means war. This means war. This means war. Put them together. I got joy in my soul. God is in control. I got Satan on my trail, but I'm singing all is well. He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back, 'cause this means war. This means war. This means war. This means war. I bleed the blood. I bleed the blood. There's power in the blood. I bleed the blood. Healing in the blood. I bleed the blood. Power in the blood. I bleed the blood. I've been in the storm and the rain, but the blood still stays the same.
I told y'all, I'm looking for that joy, but I also want to say this is war, and I think it's going to take that fighting spirit to continue. It's going to take the people in Altadena to declare war, not a violent war. It's time for y'all to pick up your cross, because this means war. Thank you, Brandon Lamar, for joining me. The entire team that helps make this program possible. Kim, Nyla, Reggie. Tiana does our graphics. Simeon's back there on the boards, loose on the finger, but we love him. We appreciate y'all all. Angela Roddick Wright is up next with the Legal Lens. She has an amazing program for you. Until we have another opportunity to speak with you, as always, agape.
It's a prayer for vision. This means there's power in your praise. Prayer changes things. You can't take this lying down.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall, alongside every episode of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.